is part 2 of making probably the most complicated cake of Deadpool and Wolverine that has and will ever exist. If you're new here, I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm doing. I decided to make this Deadpool and Wolverine in the Dirty Dancing pose, life size and out of cake. Part 1 was me making the Wolverine cake. It got a little bit awkward at times, but we got there, and this is exactly what it looked like. If you want to check out the video, it's on my page. Next up though, like I said, it's part 2, which is where we will be making the Deadpool part of this cake. I stacked up all the cake, carved it out, and then went on to add a thick layer of delicious dark chocolate ganache, and this is what he looked like when it was finished. As you can see, it's pretty complicated with his legs crossing over and his arms out, but I think we got there in the end. Next up, it was time to use some white modelling chocolate that I'd coloured with some red food colouring, and I used it like clay to sculpt in all of the different parts of his body. And yes, again, it got awkward, but I'm not showing you that part. Then once I'd finished the face, and this is what it looked like, I left it to set up in my ice cold kitchen for a little while and went on to sculpt some guns out of dark chocolate. I made this silicone mould using a toy that I'd bought, and then left those to set. And when they were setting, I went on to do some of the facial details. Now, although he wears a mask, it's still pretty complicated because this mask, although it seems like fabric, has some sharp plastic looking edges. So I went on and added some dark chocolate, modelling chocolate, and for those extra sharp pieces, the only thing I could do was to use a knife to carve them off just to make them look extra smooth. And then I used the most satisfying cake tool there is, which is this stitching tool, to add lots and lots of detail. Now, I know this cake isn't perfect, there's lots of lumps and bumps, but I figure Deadpool gets blown up all the time, so he's, his suit's gonna have a little bit of damage. That's what I'm telling myself. It is cake. I could have spent a little bit more time on it, but honestly, I'd spent that much time already that it just needed to be finished. So once I got those chocolate guns out of the mould, I added some silver luster dust just to make them look metallic, and then I went in and added a little bit more detail to the face, and I used a blowtorch and a clean cloth to give the cake lots and lots of texture. Now for the super complicated part. I needed to lift this Deadpool section of the cake up, and we couldn't practice this. We had no idea if this winch was going to hold. Thankfully, this part went really well. We were able to lift it up almost to the ceiling, and then once we'd got it up as high as we needed to, we were able to slide the Wolverine cake in underneath and wiggle it on. Now, this is great, but the true test is going to be if we can remove that winch. And guys, we did it. After weeks and weeks of trying to figure out how on earth we'd be able to do this, weeks again of actually putting the cake together, it happened. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. I managed to do the cake part. My husband managed to help me, and I've never been more proud of a cake. Honestly, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it.